Here in the open plains, deserts, and mountains of West Texas live some of the most incredible wildlife the U.S. has to offer. The animals that have learned to live here are some of the most rugged survivors, built perfectly for this habitat. And our goal is going to be to get up close to some of the most incredible venomous creatures that call this place home. What's going on, guys? I'm Zachary Gray, and welcome to West Texas. There's a whole stack of wildlife here, whether it be mammals, bugs, reptiles, you name it, West Texas has it. And this is going to be our first night in West Texas. Really hoping to see some snakes, but who knows what we're going to see. Let's go. From grassy plains filled with mammals and birds, to deserts and giant rocky outcrops. Depending on where you go, you'll be more likely or less likely to see different species. And tonight, we're heading to an area that's home to many different rattlesnakes we won't have good odds of seeing the rest of the trip. A few of them being the western diamondback, Mojaves, prairie rattlesnakes for sure. But this area is also a great place to find one of my favorites, blacktails. Alright, well right now we're just cruising right at sunset. This is a very different area. We're way south, actually almost to the border of Mexico. And there are some very special species that live out here for sure. Already seen some millipedes moving around, already seen some javelinas, tarantulas, so there is definitely some stuff out here, but what I'm really hoping to see are some of the snakes, specifically rattlesnakes. As night approaches, nocturnal species are on the move, and we spot our first really big snake right off the road, one which is oftentimes confused for rattlesnakes out here. Yo, check it out. Is that a rattlesnake? Gopher snake! Yes! Oh, let's go! Beautiful! Have a look at that! Woohoo! Let me turn my light off. That is a gopher snake. This is one of my favorite non-venomous species out here. Look at how thick that snake is. This is a big adult. She's actually kind of thin for a gopher snake this size. Look at that pretty blotching. Very similar to pine snakes. Look at that face, looks just like a pine snake. These guys are rodent eaters. They mostly eat rodents out here. Kangaroo rats, birds. Their habits are pretty similar to that of king snakes and rat snakes in the sense of diet. They're gonna just be eating pretty big, typical things. They're not gonna be eating other snakes. They're not really gonna be eating too much of other reptiles. They're mostly mammal and bird specialists. They're not very good climbers for the most part. They can climb really like your typical snake, but nothing like a rat snake or a rough green. They're typically going to be spending a lot of time in these desert habitats. Big snake! Have a look at that. They do get bigger than this. In fact, these snakes can actually reach 7.5 feet long. And I would say, let's take a look at how big you are. Because I'm almost 6 foot. That's easily a 5-foot snake. Patterning, really good. Really intricate for this desert habitat. They're actually pretty camouflaged. They're going to be spending their time underground during the day. They're actually not going to be out at all in the heat of the day. Big snake, and you can kind of see why I kind of thought when we pulled up on this snake it would have been a western diamondback. Kind of that tan coloration and a big snake at that. I wasn't even thinking gopher snake when I got out the car. And it looked like it was kind of getting across the road pretty well. It probably wouldn't have gotten hit because no cars are really coming down right now. Now, as their name suggests, gopher, they're going to be going into holes of lots of different little mammals and eating them, and that's typically where they're going to be spending their day, is in holes dug by mammals. Predators out here wouldn't actually be that many. Larger mammals would have a go at them, but as far as snakes go, maybe a bigger rattlesnake would try to eat these guys. The king snakes don't get as big, but I'd have to guess a king snake would eat a young gopher snake. They are very vibrant as babies, but this is a pretty typical coloration for an adult gopher snake. One of my favorite non-venomous snakes out here. We're gonna go ahead and put it off the road and see what else we can find. Before we let this snake go, this is my dad with the gopher snake. This is a little bit of redemption. We missed one in Tucson, so this is our first ever gopher snake. What say you, sir?
Let's say you. Delicious snake, man.
It's delicious?
Fantastic. 5 feet of... Actually, I mean, you can tell this is an old snake. You can tell it's an old snake. Sweet, gentle, and a great encounter for us. Run into in the middle of the night, make a video, introduce her to the world, and then let her go. Kind of fun.
Beautiful stuff. All right, see ya, baby. gonna get her well off the road. I don't want her getting back on it. She was heading this way anyway. What an amazing snake. Get your arm in the rocks. Hey baby, go catch some mice. Yes! An incredible snake for sure. Probably one of my favorite non-venomous snakes in this area. As we continue on, we spotted a nice sized rattlesnake. My first thought was diamondback, and I sure am happy I was wrong. Yo, rattlesnake. Rattlesnake. Blacktail. Yes! Yes, that's an eastern blacktail rattlesnake. Woo-hoo-hoo! Have a look at that snake. Wow! Beautiful. This is one of my favorite rattlesnake species. Hello. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. How are you doing, little buddy? This is a medium-sized one. He's got a good rattle. Look what he's doing. There's his little defensive position. Have a look at that. Yes. This is a top-tier rattlesnake out here for sure. One that I was really hoping to see out here in West Texas. Ooh. They're very athletic, as you can see. Check that out. Woohoo! Blacktail rattlesnake. Now, as you can see here, we're right in the middle of the road. This guy was crossing. We flew right past him. Thought he was a western diamondback at first. Not used to seeing him from the vehicle. All I could see was a big rattlesnake, but man, that is spectacular. That is our first rattlesnake of West Texas, and he is a beauty. Now what I think we're gonna do, oh, it's okay, bud. It's all right. They're not aggressive by any means, but they're very athletic, so I need to be careful. I think what we're gonna go ahead and do is get off of this road real quick, into some of his natural habitat, show you his habitat, and have him off the road to where we're not gonna get hit by anybody who's flying by on this highway. I'm gonna turn my light back on. Woohoo. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. You can see it opens up a bit right here. This would be their habitat. Wow. Now you can see, ooh, it's okay. You can see why they call him a blacktail. The very end of his tail is solid black. However, in some areas of their range, they won't get that solid black tail. And the easterns actually have it the least. In fact, the ones out west have way more black. In fact, their patterning is a lot more black. Out here, they've kind of got more of a greenish tinge to their whole coloration. They have a very different patterning than that of the other rattlesnakes here. There's also Mojave, Western, Prairie, and even mottled rock rattlesnakes out here. But this is one of the more distinct species besides the rock rattlesnake. Easterns are actually my favorite of the bunch. There's also Northerns. Notice how he's not being aggressive. He's actually let me pick him up quite a bit. And he got into a defensive position there for a minute. Look at how he's stretching his body out. That's so cool. Looks like his rattle's been broken a little bit. He's got about 6 buttons on there. But you could hear it when we first got up to him, how he started rattling. In fact, if I did this to him, if I kind of touched him a little bit. No, he's not rattling at all. Very mild-mannered snake. You can tell he's not very aggravated because he's not rattling at us. This would be an average size adult, but they do get quite a bit bigger than this. In fact, they can reach lengths of 5 feet, but they're not going to get as big as your Westerns and Mojaves, which can occasionally reach 6 feet. On average, this would be a pretty nice size one. Now, the venom from this snake, definitely enough to put you in the hospital. Not up there with some of the most toxic rattlesnake venoms, like Western diamondbacks. Obviously, Mojaves and tigers have some of the worst venom, but blacktails can definitely kill you. It's very rare to die from a bite from this snake, mostly because people aren't really running into this snake on purpose. This snake lives high up in the mountains. Throughout most of their range, they're in very mountainous areas. And all the areas around here, I got some shots of it earlier during the day, are really, really high mountains. And they can live thousands of feet high up in elevation. Now, I would say eastern blacktails are probably one of my favorite rattlesnakes that we get out here west. And honestly, the ones out east, we get the eastern diamondback, the pygmies. Those are some of my favorite rattlesnakes. But the top ones out west would probably be the Arizona black, the eastern blacktail, and sidewinders, which we actually got to see a while back in Arizona. Wow, that is a beautiful snake. Oh, he's not too happy with me. But notice, this snake, he's not being mean, he's not being aggressive, he's barely even rattling. The only time he really rattled is when we first messed with him. He's not rattling right now. Very calm snake, and if you ever see one, it's best to leave them in their habitat, because if you see one of these snakes, you are genuinely out in their habitat, because they live in some of the most rugged, incredible terrain on the planet. So there's not too many people where these snakes are. Well guys, This has been an absolutely amazing snake to encounter. Glad we were able to get him off the road as well. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to go and check out the one we did back in Arizona with Sidewinders, another favorite rattlesnake of mine, and we will see you guys next time. Alright, we're going to go ahead and let this snake go. Alrighty. All we're going to do is just going to get him along this fence line. This is the direction the snake is heading anyway. That is my first blacktail.